Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, dear friends, dear viewers. In today's video, we will continue exploring more games of M.Tal. Let's go! So we already checked 20 games of Tal. You can find the videos in my YouTube channel, and let's start from 21st. Here we are. Tal is having black pieces. You can see 2660 against Boterial 2410, and I should say that Tal throughout the game was in huge trouble. Let's go. Yes, earlier we noticed that Tal very often goes for knight dwarf, but this time e6. Knight c3, a6, d4, c takes d, knight takes d4, queen c7, bishop d3. Yes, nowadays, if I'm not mistaken, black is going knight f6 more often. Knight c6, engine already says knight takes c6, knight b3, not the best move. And knight f6, short castle, b5, bishop g5. Yes, something very rare from white's side. Bishop e7, queen e2, bishop b7. Rook e1, of course, if short castle, then e5 comes. Here before would have been better. d6, black already doesn't have any problems. After a3, black simply play short castle. For some reason, Tal decided to go before. A takes b, knight takes b4, rook a1. Yes, I should admit that Boteril found this very good idea, coming back with the rook to a1 and then placing knight on a5. Short castle knight a5, and here Tal went wrong by playing bishop c8. Yes, any other move would have been much better. Rook fb8, rook ac8, a6. Yes, and here e5 tactical idea was possible. D takes c, bishop f6, and then queen e4. Yes, bishop c4, rook b8, and here f4. Very dubious move. Tal goes d5, e5, bishop c5, king h1, knight d7. And now black is much better. Bishop d3, knight takes d3, queen takes d3, rook takes b2, knight b3, bishop b4, a5. Yes, here not really a5, queen c4, bishop a3. Yes, somewhere here Boteril found many good moves, and especially knight b3, knight a2, queen d4, queen c3. Yes, and here Tal went completely wrong with queen b6, and after knight d2, black is in huge trouble. So takes bishop b4, queen b2, d4. Yes, even queen takes d4 move is possible. Knight c4, queen b5, queen takes d4, bishop b7, c3. Yes, bishop e7 or knight e3, c3. Here after bishop d5, c takes b, bishop c4. Black is very slightly better. Knight b3, queen d3, bishop d5. Black is much better, but for some reason Tal didn't see it. It's h6, and here bishop f6 idea was there with mating ideas. And again bishop d5, Tal didn't see it. That's this. Yes, and here after rook c2, queen b4, rook c4, or f takes, rook c2, white has huge advantage, but here Boteril goes bishop e7, and after bishop e7 position is completely lost for white. Knight c1 and Tal plays it. Takes, and bishop e3. With the ideas to go bishop f4, g3, queen h1, checkmate, king g3, bishop g5. Threatening queen f4, and now this. Yes, if king h2, bishop f4 comes, and now bishop h4. Yes, if you take queen g5, checkmate follows, bishop e7, bishop e7. Here even queen g3, king h5, bishop e7 would have been much better. But Tal goes bishop e7, knight f7, h5, takes bishop e8. Yes, f takes e, queen g5, threatening queen g5, this takes. And now g6, king g6, queen g5, king e6, bishop f7, and here Boteril resigned. Nothing impressive, honestly speaking, with the huge respect to Mikhail Tal. Throughout the game, he was in huge trouble. From some point, say when he blundered or misevaluated or miscalculated knight d2 move. Before that, of course, he had a better position. And up to 40th move, he was in huge trouble. Okay, next game, Tal is having white pieces against Arthur Hennings. For knight f6, c4 e6, knight f3 d5, knight c3 bishop e7. Even nowadays, this is one of the main lines. Bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, short castle e3, and even knight bd7, b6 is another option. Rook c1, and here c5 is an option for sure. D takes c a6 and c6. Engine lights a6. Very typical move. If you develop the bishop on e2 or d3, then d takes c, bishop c4, b5 comes. Yes, c takes d, bishop d3, c6. And now we do have typical Carlsbad position with the rook on c1 and pawn on a6. I'm not sure what our rook does on c1. Yes, hard to say how useful pawn is on a6, but at least it's typical b4, a4, b5, queenside minority attack. Rook e8 and short castle knight f8. Yes, back then players, I assume, were not aware of 98 ideas or 98 knight d6, 98 bishop d6. But anyway, if knight is on f3, maybe 98 knight d6 or 98 bishop d6 doesn't make much sense. 95, 96, bishop b1, knight g5, and what is really having pleasant position, queen b3, knight h5, f4, takes, knight e6, rook d1. Yes, engine likes already pushing e4, a3, stopping maybe queen b4 ideas, bishop d8, queen c2, knight f8, and Tal goes c4, d takes c, knight e4, bishop f5, and here g4, bishop e4, queen e4, white is better, bishop e6, bishop b1, and Arthur Hennings does not repeat, bishop b6, very good move, knight d6, rook e7, king h2, rook d8, not rook a d8, rook e d8, and here before queen a3, f5, yes, very complicated move, I should say. If f5, rook d4 comes and e5 is hanging. So knight c5, bishop c5, d takes c, rook d5, and black is Fine. f5, rook e5, f takes c, f takes c before. So rook d5, bishop d5, queen c1. Probably preparing before queen c7, queen c2, f6, knight g6, queen f7, knight h4, rook e3, a4, queen e6, rook f2, and black is already slightly better and even much better and even winning. Rook e1 move just finishes the game. Arthur Hennings goes for g5, f takes g, f takes, yes, and here h takes g, and just queen h6, but not rook g3. Queen h6 and white can resign. Rook g3, queen f6, and here players agreed in a draw after queen h4, king g1. Yeah, start of the game was impressive, and white managed to get something very promising position, but at some point I assume Tal wanted to repeat the position just to change his move, but opponent himself changed and chose a very decent option. And in the end, we see that Tal was in huge trouble. Yes, next game against Jan Timan 2480. Tal is having white pieces. 45, knight h3, knight c6, bishop d5. What are we having? All this. And nowadays d5 is more popular. And Breyer, c4. Yes, this is very interesting move. This and queen c2. Yes, I'm aware of e3, a3 move. And if I'm not mistaken, knight c3 is also a possible move. And after, before you go knight e2. I very much recommend that line. Yes, queen c2, bishop b7. Yes, probably at that time players were afraid of going knight c3 because of b4. That's why queen c2, bishop b7, knight c3, b4 anyway, knight e2, e takes d, Tal takes with the knight, g6, stopping all kind of knight f5 jumps, knight e2, knight is heading towards g3, knight c5, knight g3, a5, queen e2, freeing c2 square for the bishop, and maybe not the best, a4, bishop c2, knight e6, or rook e8. Yes, this, and knight e6, this black is already slightly better, rook d1, queen c7, knight h2, a4, bishop c2, c5, bishop f6, knight g4, bishop h8, and here something like c5. Now goes bishop c1, maybe preparing some knight h6 ideas, a4, bishop c2, knight d4, queen d2, and here c5, d3, a takes b, a takes b, bishop d3, yes, knight e5, knight takes e5, d takes e5, black doesn't have any problems. It is very obvious, c5, knight c3, queen g5, engine doesn't like f6 that much. And now what is better, f3. Players are making many inaccuracies. And again, black is better. And white doesn't have any problems. And now white is better. King f7 was a mistake. g5 or king g7. And now rook takes f4, bishop takes f4, check. Takes this, check, takes, and g5. Maybe not winning. Yes, maybe not winning. King e2. King e2 would have been better. Now before, threatening the two. Yes, very interesting game. I think throughout the game, Timan always had some counterplay. He was at some point better and even much better. Yes, at some point he was in the end after he blundered or missed his rook takes f4. It was 1 point something, but maybe not easy to convert. And the next game is against Alexei Suetin. And Tal managed to win this game. d5, knight f3, 6, d4 takes this, knight is coming to c3. Queen c7, bishop e2, a6, short castle, knight f6, bishop e3. Yes, very, very dubious game, I would say. Bishop e7, bishop b4. At that time, bishop b4 was quite popular. I assume knight a4. Yes, here if knight takes e4, knight c6 is the move, if I'm not mistaken. Knight e4 simply doesn't work. Takes and queen d4 is coming. Bishop e7 or short castle, knight c6 or c4 even. And c4, why knight takes c4 is not possible? Because of knight c6. Okay, takes, d takes c, knight b6, c4. If I take knight e4, I assume some queen d4 or c5 is coming. Okay, bishop d6, 4, knight e4, queen c2, f5, c5, knight b6, and g4. Wow, bishop d3. Yes, knight f6 or bishop e8. Suetin went bishop e8, takes. He found rook d8 as well. And now bishop f6, or he played e5, takes bishop g6, queen e3, h6 takes rook f1, and now black is simply better after rook f1 takes bishop g5. Here, of course, black doesn't have problems. Queen c3, bishop g5, bishop e3, and now rook d3, queen c4, or queen e7. Queen e7 was played, and this, and this, and before, just rook d3 or a5, queen e6, a5. Yes, position is around equal. Rook a3, h5, bishop d3, rook takes a2, queen d4, bishop b1, knight c4, takes, bishop a2, knight d2, bishop d5, or knight d6. I guess anyway we go bishop to d5, not bishop d5, even bishop d5. Queen f7, king e2, bishop a2, knight d6, queen e7, knight f5, queen e6, knight e3, this, yes, and here very big blunder, very huge blunder by Alexei Suetin. Just bishop e6, queen f4, or many other moves, not bishop c4, because takes queen d3, and pawn endgame is completely lost for black. Yes, again, very good game, very high level game by both players, especially by Alexei Suetin, despite his blunder on 43rd move. While bishop c4 he played, showed very good understanding of chess, leaving knight on e4, sacrificing the pawn on e5, throughout the game playing very, very good game. Yes, but in the end, unfortunately, he blundered and lost. Okay, next game, Miroslav Philip, 25-10, 45, knight c3, and again we see, of course, nowadays knight f6, bishop b4 are the main moves, d6. we are aware that Tal was playing King's Indian defense and that type of positions. That's why he goes d6. Even we checked and analyzed a game of Tal where he started the game after knight f3 with d6. Yes, g3, bishop e6, and here I don't fully understand why Philip went b3. I think you have bishop g2 because no one is going to take your pawn on c4 because of bishop b7 or queen a4. Actually, I should say that I remembered this game and Tal at some point started sacrificing a lot of material. And now d5. Something very concrete. C takes d, bishop d5, e4. So bishop g2, d4, and now bishop b7, knight d7. Some compensation. Knight a4, rook b8, we see. And now black is already better. Knight c6, d3, queen d7, a3 with the ideas before a5, queen c2, bishop e7, knight d2, f5, knight h6, short castle, knight g4. Yes, it's very interesting. After h3, knight f6 back, knight h6 back. So this, rook d8, rook e1, bishop c5. Of course, Philip Miroslav doesn't play good chess, with a huge respect to him. The way he plays, if someone would play nowadays, he would, again, with a huge respect, he wouldn't have even close to 2500 rating. e4, and knight e6, queen e6, so knight f1 and queen e7, forcing this, and of course now Tal couldn't, if I'm not mistaken, he couldn't stop himself sacrificing some material. Yes, knight e5 is better, knight f6 is better, he went this, and he went f4. Yes, which is more or less working. And here he takes f, takes, 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 takes. And queen g4 is a huge mistake. Queen h6 works, and black is winning. Takes, takes, takes. Yes, and here white doesn't have any problems. Rook e2. And here rook g1. This. Again here has rook g2. Rook e4. Huge mistake by Philip. Queen h2. Hard to explain what he really blundered. Maybe, yes, maybe here queen h3 move. That he doesn't have rook g3, there is queen f1, queen f5, queen h5. And he got checkmated. Of course, it was very interesting opening, very weird, I would say. Hard to say why. Maybe he played b3 with the ideas to, as quickly as white can, to play d4. I'm sure that Philip saw bishop g2, and maybe he just didn't see how to continue after c7, c6. This d5, and later on, yes, here of course Philip did not react in the best way and got very unpleasant position. And later on, it was very beautiful game, like in this position, e3 and then f4. f3 is the best move. So this was winning, but Tal did not see this queen h6. He played this, and queen c5 is also working. Players went for this. This is fine, and here just rook e4. Huge blunder rook g2, white is better. Yes, I assume here Philip didn't see this queen h3 move, or maybe something else. Yes, Tal is playing against Vladimir Tukmakov. E4, e5, knight f3, Roy Lopez, Breyer. As we can see at that time, Anatoly Karpov was playing Breyer a lot, and probably at that time Breyer was very popular. So this, and in this position we know knight f1, bishop f8, knight g3, so b4. Bishop f8, a4, and a5. Yes, a takes b, a takes b, rook a8, queen a8, c takes b, takes d4. Yes, b takes a, rook b1, a takes b. Yes, you can take rook b5, rook a1, very nice move. Bishop b3, threatening some knight g5, h6. White is having some slight pressure. Even we can see that already this was played in Matanovic's make-out game. Bishop b7 was there, c5. Yes, after d5 white is better, d takes c. Yes, maybe d takes c would have been better. This takes, and white is of course slightly better, not much. I lost a similar position against Mamikon Haribian. Yes, you can find that game. I was playing that championship, the tournament very well, and lost because Mamikon played really good. So queen c7, rook a7, this queen here, and slowly Tal outplays Tukmakov, and bishop b3, threatening knight c4. And yes, here, for example, knight c4, rook e6, and some move. White is having some pressure. Yes, rook e6, takes, bishop d5. Maybe he didn't see bishop d5 or didn't evaluate correctly. I don't believe Tal missed or didn't see this move. Probably it was some misevaluation or something like that. Because even later on he got some problems. Yes, not much. Maybe instead of 94, game ended in a draw. Yes, about Tal Tukmakov, it was opening prep, and Tal got slightly preferable position. Then he had serious pressure, but he decided to go bishop f7, after which Tukmakov found all the best moves and got decent position. So another game, Lev Polugaevsky, and even in 2024, I very much wish I could play uh, in this level game as players played. For g6, I know that Greenfeld players very often start with g6 move. So e4, we know that Tal was playing King's Indian defense, but for some reason he doesn't go bishop g7. He plays e5, d4, and knight f6. Yes, d takes c, knight takes e4, knight f3. Yes, e takes d move is possible. Bishop b4. We see that white has bishop d2 and knight c3. Bishop d2 takes, and here queen d2, or Knight takes d2 was played, d6 takes, and knight takes e5. Polugavsky goes. Yes, engine shows that queen d4 or even queen e7 or queen e7 and now f4. Not really giving e4 pawn back. Knight b7 and knight takes d7, bishop d7 and e5. Polugavsky tries to save the pawn, and of course here black has more than enough compensation, but at some point Tal sacrificed the piece without getting enough compensation. Knight h5 or long castle back is fine, and here bishop f5. He went this, which does look very natural, but it doesn't work. Rook f1, very good move. So takes this and queen c1. And very nice game by Polugavsky. h5 threatening some h4, rook d1, h4 takes, then f5. Yes, this is completely lost. Yes, simply no chances for Tal. And yes, I'm sure that nowadays in a high level players would already resign in this position, but maybe it was time players were in time trouble. That's why Tal kept playing, and eventually here he resigned. Yes, very nice game by Polugavsky. It was even theoretical battle. Uh, Polugavsky took the pawn and kept it, giving Tal activity, but that day Tal didn't uh, feel the dynamics of the position and went wrong. Yes, another game against Paul Keres and d6, c3. Earlier we checked Tal Keres game. It was short castle, bishop d7 and c3, knight g e7 if I'm not mistaken. Yes, this is something interesting, and anyway, Keres goes knight e7 instead of playing knight f6, g6 or knight f6, bishop b7. Bishop b3, yes, very interesting move, threatening some knight g5 ideas. And knight h4, yes, stopping knight g6, but here knight a5, and then even c5, g5 is also working. D takes, queen f3, and let's say queen c7 or g6, queen f6, rook g8, knight g6. Not the best move. After takes, white is better. Knight f5, queen f6, knight d2, knight d7, short castle, takes, queen e3. Yes, and I don't really understand next move of Paul Keres. Why do you go queen g5? Yes, he forced opponent to, he provoked opponent to play c4, and now Tal goes knight b1. Yes, and here queen h5. Takes, knight c3, knight is coming to d5, this, knight d4, bishop d1, attacking the pawn. And here f4, and bishop h5, and takes, and bishop f4. Yes, rook a d1, he goes check, and black slowly gets consolidates the position after king c6, but rook g8, h3, and I like this idea. Bishop e3 with the idea to go bishop f2. bishop f2, and pawn is gone. 5 and f takes c, but here takes bishop e8, and after some moves, Paul Keres resigned. Yes, it was under White's control always. In a few moments, of course, Paul Keres could play much better than he played. For example, this queen h5 move is really hard to explain. How did he manage to play queen h5? Yes. Also, it was hard to really understand why do you go queen g5, and the opponent simply moves the queen from e3, and then you are under this c1 h6 uh, pin, or let's say my knight always can jump. Yes, about next game, I should say that Tal completely outplayed and got winning position against Vasily Smyslov, but did not manage to win this game. But of course, we should also admit that Smyslov, he was defending very well. Again, and here in this very known position, instead of e4, bishop g5, c5, and instead of d5, e3, Smyslov plays very humble chess, and c takes d, d6, bishop e2, and starting from here, this g5 and knight h5. Yes, we see that rook c1, d takes c, short castle, queen c2, with the ideas to take on g5, and h takes g, bishop h5, or knight g3, h takes g, but here g4. Tal reacts very well, and knight h4 takes, and knight c6, and knight d4, and d5. And now we see that white is in huge trouble. Takes this, and here knight takes e2, knight takes e2, bishop c4, knight f5. Maybe it was not that obvious. So rook e8, he played this, and now f4, takes knight f3, takes. Yes, takes. Yes, always black is slightly better, but king d1, very nice move. Threatening knight e4, knight g3, and threatening knight e3, knight f5. And I guess here maybe Tal didn't see this rook e1 or misevaluated something. This not rook c8 because of knight f2 ideas, and slowly white managed to make a draw. Of course here white doesn't have any problems and game. And in the draw, yes, of course he outplayed from the opening and got promising position, not really winning, but 1 point something or -1, but did not manage to win, and especially because of this rook e1 very important move. Yes, I didn't have time to check this game, but again we see that I really went to my chess base, to my main databases, and then I searched Tal and found his games, and then I selected uh, his games from 1973 up to 1974, and then I created PGN file and then uploaded here. But as you can see, I don't see uh, any streaks by Tal. Simply, again, another game, and he lost against Mark Taimanov. I don't. Yeah, it's hard to say, or another one. Yes, Petrosi. Streak. D4, knight f6, knight f3, c5, c4, takes. Yes, e6, but b6, knight c3, bishop b7, f3, e4, bishop e3. For some reason, queen b8, with the idea of bishop d6 maybe. Bishop c5, bishop e2, rook d1. Yes, it was unpleasant, allowing knight on d6, a3, b4. I like the way Taimanov plays. Not much, of course, but slightly better position. Rook c1 with the idea of rook fd1, I guess. And now knight d5, takes, f4, takes. And now white is up a pawn, rook c1, and queen b5 would have been better. Of course, you cannot take on e4 because of trades on e4, and then rook c8, this, rook c8, h3. And here queen e1, king h2, rook e4. Black is having very good chances to make a draw, but this, and e5. And queen b1, what a move. Queen g3, rook c3, but yes, a very good game by Lermanov. Of course, Tal was very ambitious. He was trying to get a game. He was trying to complicate the game, but Lermanov was playing very solid, very good chess, and at some point he even and he calculated. Yes, this unpleasant. Yes, you can save the pawn by going queen somewhere. Of course, always Tal had some hopes and some chances, but according to computers. For example, here going this rook c8, it was, I don't think, very easy decision going rook c8. Or even later on going queen e1, king h2, rook e4 is easy. And especially when you, I assume players were in time trouble and you want to keep the pieces, maybe attack some of the pawns. And yes, it turns out that e5 comes and then queen b1, amazing move, and you don't have anything. That's why maybe Tal didn't play this queen e1 and rook. Thank you very much, dear friends. Please leave your comments. Yes, we checked another 10 games and still we are not able to find this streak, unbeaten streak by Mikhail Tal. Thank you very much and hope to see you very soon.